Hello and welcome to another episode of the Thom and Joe Show. My name is Tom.
My name is Joe. And say, Tom, where are the hosts of this show? It's called the Thom and Joe Show, and I showed up on it because they have names exactly like mine.
Yes.
But they aren't around.
Oh God, we've lost Joe.
What I guess we're going to have to do
yes.
is take this show for ourselves.
Yes, indeed. This show that we are definitely going to have to sit in and host. Yes. This is.
I'm sorry, my Isaac voice isn't very good.
What's that, Miriam, my dear? Yeah, we're doing Baccano. We've reached another numbered episode. We're doing Baccano. Baccano is a series which we both watched, and we have probably, this is going to be one of those episodes where we probably actually differ on this, because I love the shit out of this, and I like the shit out of the other series this guy did.
I don't dislike it. I like the show. I just don't like it as much as the people who, like, you've got to watch this, and not helping its secret, like, buried gem is that Aniplex happened and has taken away all rights from it, and they have no interest in showing it to anybody. So,
this is difficult to get a hold of.
It's not on streaming.
Nope.
You have to buy either the DVDs or like the little Blu-ray release they had. At least Anime News Network says they had a Blu-ray. I don't remember that, but it might have just been there for 5 minutes and disappeared, like the Hibernate Renmei Blu-rays.
This is why it's going for 100 quid plus on eBay. You did this, Aniplex. Yeah. You did this.
And they are proud of doing this.
Yep.
And I don't think they even have like the $199 what was it?
Nope.
Blu-ray set for the movies The Garden of Sinners.
Nope. Because why would we want, one of the best anime series and probably ensemble anime series of like the last decade or so to be available for people? It's not like, streaming's it's an annoying thing. It's Aniplex being Aniplex and going, don't know why anyone would watch.
And it's Japanese management, and they don't want reverse imports because they have to pay their 10 middlemen, and that makes up for their $80 for a Blu-ray of 2 episodes.
But it comes with things.
I guess sometimes they come with things, but the main argument from the people who will never buy the English version is that the output for the video is so much better because it's only 2 episodes.
Yep.
And I guess, but you're the one putting up $80, and you probably have that gigantic surround sound set up in your living room, I guess. I don't have that.
Yep. You miss Laserdisc. We can tell it. We can tell you miss Laserdisc. Ironically, I think, to be honest, you're getting to the point where then it would probably be cheaper to buy all of the novels, because this is based on a light novel by Ryogo Narita, who also created Durarara and did, I think, one Death Note novel. I think he did the Beyond Birthday Death Note novel. Those are these are probably going to be cheaper to buy in novel format, all of the novels, which goes much more material beyond this series than, actually, being able to get this in physical, unless you are very clever or know someone in the UK, where it seems to be actually, a decent price. Anyway, we're talking about Baccano today. We're talking about Baccano today. Where to begin with this? Because Baccano sort of asks that question.
We'll start with insisting that we aren't the main characters of this show, and then try to figure out how to...
Yep.
We're going to spend a half an hour trying to figure out where to start with it.
Yeah. Baccano is... I think let's lay the cards upon the table. So Baccano's title means ruckus in Italian. It's as Baccano. The style and vibe of this is what I would describe as what happens if you get a film buff who you have shown a straight diet of Quentin Tarantino films Martin Scorsese films and just assorted gangster films to, and then sort of gone, now you have to make a supernatural anime out of this.
Yeah, it is the alchemy that anime does, not to be too on the nose, because this show is about alchemy.
Yep.
Yeah. But, yeah, it's where it combines a lot of these loose ends and connects them together in a fairly good fashion. I'm not, like I said, I'm not the biggest fan. You are a far bigger fan of this than I am, but I do like this show.
I like large ensemble casts, what can I say?
Yeah, and there is a series we both love that called 91 Days, which is also 1920s gangster, but it's more focused. If you watched all the Oscar-nominated gangster movies, like The Godfather,
and Road to Perdition, because I was just about to say that. Yeah, it got particularly Road to Perdition, where like it is almost like Road to Perdition as a buddy road movie with vengeance rather than, you know, what road? Well,
and they put one explicitly Japanese gangster Yakuza style. I mean, he's not a Yakuza, but he is extremely different from everybody else in the series.
He's ready to J for Japan.
But 91 Days is extremely good. Like, if you can't watch a gangster movie, but you do like anime, you can probably just put on 91 Days, and you'll be good for, like, watching all of the gangster movies. Because literally, like, the climax is The Godfather Part 3.
91 Days is still $52, but yeah, that's just anime's entire, like, bleh.
Yeah, if you're in America, well, I think it's out of print now, but you used to be able to get 91 Days for $10 from, you know, what are they called now? It used to be ADV, and they run High Dive now, but anyway, you can get it through them.
Yeah, I mean, you can get it from
Sentai Filmworks.
Yeah. It's still available in the UK. It's hard to get hold of, but it's like, it was one of those sleeper hit animes that I think, you know, certain people like me and Joe talk about, and everyone else went, what the fuck is 91 Days?
I don't think it was a hit at all.
No.
Like, I don't think Baccano was a hit, because the series itself plays like one of those adaptations of light novels where they stop in the middle of it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Flowers of Evil, when that was a flop, and the last episode was trying to sell you on the second season when it was far too late.
Yeah.
So it kind of plays like that. It does kind of sort of have an ending, but it does sort of leave the door open.
Yeah, it's sequel hooks. Ironically enough, Narrator's other series, Durarara, I think pretty much got an adaptation from cover to cover, which made it, like, I remember, like, I watched Durarara, like, the first series, and I still think Durarara's first series is great, and I haven't watched series 2 or 3, because, but they adapt the novels basically from cover to cover.
I think Durarara, you get the idea of it, and that it keeps going is kind of, well, we can make more money off of this. I watched a couple episodes of Durarara because my wife was watching it, but the thing of that is that was popular. People like my wife know about that series and watch it, and people like me who just, like, you know, the nerds who you know, plumb the depths for. And me, I only live in the depths. I'm a mole person. So I live in the depths of unpopular stuff that never sells well. Yeah,
I also think the other reason Durarara got very popular was the Fujoshi, but we'll get onto that when we eventually talk about Durarara. Yeah, remember that. Yeah, everyone remembers that. Anyway, so a little bit of background on Ryoga Narita. As I said, he is a novelist. He won the gold prize in the 9th Dengeki novel prize, which is a prize for light novels. I think we've spoken about light novels before, but they are basically, like, I think we've drawn the comparison of sort of young adult novels. They're sort of like that, but they're also sort of like, it's sort of what I suppose once upon a time one would have probably called pulps. They're sort of, you know, that very, you know, quite well paced illustrated novels, and as we've said before, you know, a lot of anime get adapted from light novels. There's a lot of them. You know, some other series that have obviously, you know, been adapted from light novels are 86, which is obviously quite popular recently. Oh Christ, I forgot his bloody name. The Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but not Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Yeah, there's a lot of series which are, you know, adapted from light novels. It's basically that or anime, or you might occasionally get sort of, you know, series that are adapted that, but you know, this is a fairly prestigious prize for light novels. You know, this is basically quite a big award. Anyway, this is where he basically launched himself, and Baccano's first sort of 2 and a bit, 3 novels are adapted in the series, which kind of basically works out as, you know, about 13 episodes, and then 3 straight to DVD episodes, which kind of, as I said, as Joe said earlier, kind of act as a sequel, tying up things, but also a sequel hook for new things. Anyway. Yes.
Okay, so
oh boy.
We have this train called the Flying Pussyfoot.
Yes.
And stuff happens on it.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of stuff that requires a lot of backstory, and it's confusing even to the people who are going through it. So, like, the first episode, which is kind of like the reason I haven't watched like all of it until now, is because the first episode just messes with my head. It's not just because the opening has like 20 introduction to 20 characters. And, and then, you know, you get this series of events, and some of it has already happened, and you see what happens after everything, and then it's like rearranging it to show exactly what happened here that caused all of this.
Yeah.
And it is very confusing because I have ADHD. This runaround was a lot better because I am medicated now, and I don't have like the hyper focus on this, but it is a lot, and you have to pay attention to it.
Yeah, it introduces introduces 20 bloody characters in fairly quick succession, most of whom have Italian names, some of who are like, you know, sort of old Italian guys, mafia guys, and, you know, and then there's like a couple of characters who stand out from the crowd. By the way, there's like this, there's a whole like bits of this which are like done, you know, jumping forward and backwards in time, and it's doing this whole Quentin Tarantino non-linear narrative shit.
Yeah. And also, some of the names are what Japanese think people in Italian would be called. There's a woman named there's a guy named Jacuzzi.
Yep.
Yep. And, you know, he's dating a woman named Nice, which is a spot in France and not really a name, but that you get names like that. Yep. Jacuzzi Splot.
Yeah, her name is Nice Hollystone, which, I mean, yeah, okay, that's a reasonably normal name, but there's like, you know, this is like sort of like, you know, the Tecmo Bowl Japanese people's idea of American names, but sort of like with an extra level of Italo-American.
Fighting baseball.
Burning baseball, that's sort of ones, like just these made up American names.
Bobson Dugnut.
Bobson Dugnut. Oh dear. Yeah, so we sort of like, this sort of starts out with our framing device, which is a newspaper called the Daily Days, where our sort of vaguely kind of narrator, because I don't really feel he actually acts as a narrator for all of it, but he's sort of like our main in, because he's obviously a newspaper man, and like a newspaper man, he obviously, you know, has control over over the news, and sort of, you know, he is doing various news-based things, and, you know, he's got a sidekick who essentially kind of hangs out, and sort of they discuss things, and in Japanese he is voiced by Norio Wakamoto.
Yes, that voice. If you've ever heard a really deep voice man in anime, and it is just astoundingly just memorable. It is
Yep.
probably Norio Wakamoto. He has been in the industry for a long ass time.
Yeah, it's sort of like the anime equivalent of the late James L. Jones. He's just that voice. It's like, yeah. He's been
and
around.
they will just hire him for. They will find an excuse to hire him. Like in Wolf's Rain, they just hire him to be an owl in one episode because they wanted Norio Wakamoto to be in this.
And the Nichiju cubes. Anyway, but he is a sort of our framing device, and we cut back to them occasionally while they sort of try and uncover who's the protagonist, what is all this stuff, how much truth is there to what is truth, what is objectivity in the news. And it's like, yeah, this is all very interesting, and they're a decent pair of characters. They have no influence on the plot whatsoever.
No. And like the assistant is just this little girl who like seems to be really smart. I mean, she has better knowledge in journalism story framing than a lot of people I work with in the news. And I'm not going to name specific names, but I work in television news, and I got my journalism degree, and like all the things they tell you not to do when you get into your journalism degree, you will see people who just fell into television journalism just do every day. And you try to tell them, and it's like, well, that's how everybody else does it. And it's just like, everybody else jumped off a cliff. Would you do it too?
I mean, I've
Isaac
got to
and
say,
Miria would.
I mean, I've got to say at this point, the ADR for this, which is done by Tyler Walker, is a guy is like minor enough. He doesn't have a Wikipedia page. Spent 6 days auditioning people for this, and this is a very atypical cast for anime. This is a lot of old guys and a lot of Europeans. The dub on this is probably easily top 10 dubs I've heard, easily.
I watched the dub for this run through just because like it's much easier to follow, and it is more natural because it is American. Like it takes place in America. The Flying Pussyfoot is going from Chicago to New York.
It is a very American series for an anime series. I mean, as I said, it has the vibe of sort of these big HBO series, and I'm surprised like somebody hasn't gone, in the ever more chaotic sort of search for content, that someone hasn't gone, hang on a minute, we could just make this with Americans. Why are we not doing this? Anyway, our kind of first potential candidate for protagonists is Isaac and Miria, who are sort of like our comedic foils for the series, I guess is the best description of them.
Ignorance is forever and is complete bliss.
I fucking love them. I love them. I love them
because
so much.
They are just forever stupid.
Innocence is bliss.
No matter how much they learn and no matter how long they live, they will never be above a certain level of intelligence, and that intelligence is a rock.
They are voiced by...
But they mean so well.
Oh god. They're such great characters. They are like basically the strong sort of like comedic heart. They're the heart of this series. Like they are maybe not the protagonists, but they are certainly, our view through this for a lot of the series. Isaac is played in Japanese by Mayasaka Onosaka, who is most notable for playing Vash the Stampede from Trigun. He is voiced in English by J. Michael Tatum. Isaac, I think we've pretty much spoken about J. Michael Tatum at some point. We have mentioned his many roles. Miria is voiced in Japanese by Sayaka Ayaki, who is most famous for playing Kyon's sister in this is like
Sakura?
in Haruhi Suzumiya.
Haruhi Suzumiya. I was why was I thinking Evangelion?
I don't know.
Why.
I don't know. Also voicing Cream the Rabbit in every Sonic game. She's voiced she's voiced in Japanese by English by Caitlin Glass, who is most notable for playing Haruhi in Uran and other roles, including.
Yeah, she has a billion roles, and she has worked with Funimation forever. Like, when I was in the industry, I met Caitlin Glass at one point.
Yeah, she's Maya in
like
Evangelion.
A very nice person.
Yeah, she's Maya in Evangelion, so I mean, she has been around since the early 90s. She's also Winry in Full Metal Alchemist. I mean, there's like, she has been around for a while, and this is like one of her. Yeah, this is just one of many, many, many roles. Are we going to talk about the concept of the series? Because I think obviously we can go back and forth, and we can talk about like the entire group of characters. I think we need to sort of like go, okay, what are Isaac and Miria doing? Why are they on the train, etc., etc. There's gonna be a lot of back and forth in this episode.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of back and forth. There is a central reason why a bunch of people are on the train, but I couldn't tell you why individuals are on the train.
No.
There is some contents on the train that they have to get to, and everybody's connected to somebody who wants to, or they want to take care of the people who want the stuff on the train.
Yeah, absolutely. There are so many people on this train.
There's this group of people in white suits.
Yep.
And there's this group of people in black suits.
Yep.
And they are very much different people. The ones in black suits disguise their guns as orchestra. They act like they're members of an orchestra, but they're actually not that. They are members of an alchemist group who want to live forever or get the secret to. And that is apparently on this train. And they start a ruckus. A Baccano, if you will. And that pisses off the people in white suits who are gangsters.
Yes.
From the Russo family, led by Lad Russo, who is the most vicious son of a bitch you have ever seen in your life.
Yeah, he is just one of my favourite villains of all time. He is just fantastic. He's a homicidal maniac. He's one of these, like, Brian Massey, who voices him in English, is like doing a greatest of all time performance. It's just ham beyond. It's like there's so much ham that the entire pig is still within the room. Yeah, so the kind of crux of this is our black suited laddos who are working for a gentleman called Huey Laforet, who is, as you may have guessed, he is French. He is French. He's also hundreds of years old. Yeah.
And what they are trying to do is they are trying to kidnap a senator's family. And this senator just happens to be connected to Huey.
Yep.
And
Huey's in Alcatraz for doing everything, I think, at this point.
Just, he's just under arrest for being immortal, I guess, and he just wants to stay in that prison, and they're trying to get the senator to get him out. So because he is one of the only people who knows the secret to immortality, and all of these people want it, and so it's set up, but not all is well within them, and not is all well on the Flying Pussyfoot, because there are about 3 or 4 different
factions,
groups on there. There's a faction of another family on here with Jacuzzi Splot and his girlfriend niece, who is an explosives addict.
I love her to bits.
They explain it way late how she got to that point.
Yeah, but, she's sort of like she is voiced in English by Colleen Klinkerbird. Jacuzzi is voiced by Joe McDonald in English. I don't know if I know any of the roles.
Colleen Klinkerbird has done a lot of work on Funimation stuff. Her name is on a lot of stuff. I only know this because I went to college with somebody who works in Funimation, so I check the credits all the time. And we did a student film together where a person dropped out, so it was just us two on mint schnapps, no, peppermint schnapps, and we just had to throw together this video with the cast we had to get it done, which we did. And we forgot to white balance on the outdoor shots, which was unfortunate, but otherwise, what he cared about is we got the project done on time.
Yeah. And that's the sometimes you just got to do with a project. You just got to get it. You know, it's done. It's finished. I fucking love Jacuzzi and Nice. They are very much like they are the normal people in a world that is otherwise not normal. I mean, as normal as a guy with a face tattoo in the 1930s and a bomb fetishist.
Yes.
Yeah.
Although she does talk in a way I didn't expect. Like she has glasses, so and later on, you kind of get she had a more normal upbringing, but she does talk in the, hey, I'm a gangster.
Yes.
I don't know if it's Chicago or New York, but it's
somewhere
kind of
in between
accent.
Hey, etc.
Hey,
yeah.
hey,
Yeah. Hey. We got that out of our system now. Anyway, but they are basically trying to sell explosives to. I think it's eventually they sell explosives to Hollywood, which is a little bit of a question mark one. But yeah, they're on a train to sort of bring their wares to New York to go. Hey, we build bombs. That's what we do. Yeah, they also got a couple of hench people who are like a massive guy and another guy with like a very 90s haircut, which his name I actually have forgotten. Again, looks like James Hetfield. What is with this?
I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway, so they're one of our factions. Also aboard is somebody who is also building bombs, which is Seslaw, who is a character. Yeah.
He is posed as one of the kids of the senator, but he is absolutely not.
Nope.
And he is one of those kids who talks like the kid in Sympathy for the Devil in that Cowboy Bebop episode.
Yeah. And like the creepy kids from Akira as well, to a certain extent. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's hundreds of years old as well.
Yes.
Yes. He is basically potentially the most screwed up person in the entire cast, which, considering will later come to a guy who is permanently trapped in a barrel and can't die, is saying a lot. We'll get to why they're immortal in a bit. Yeah. That also has the most. That is also the just to go back very quickly to Ches. That is the moment the series sort of goes, no, we're kind of this series. He has a run-in with Lad Rousseau, and given like Ches is a sort of your stereotypical small anime boy in sort of 1920s, 1930s clothing, he sort of very quickly drops the act around Lad and gets his head blown off. It's one of those shows, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, and how the immortality works is it's like a rewind button, and all of the blood just goes back into your body, and it rewinds you to where you were before you got your head blown off, and that's how that works. And there's a plot point I don't want to spoil too soon, but it was tested to see how far this goes at one point.
Yeah. we shall get to that a little bit. Meanwhile, in New York, we kind of have our other half of the... This is the problem with, I feel, Baccano, which I think Durarara sort of like doesn't have, because Durarara is sort of coalesced around one period at one time. It bounces around Ikebukuro a lot, but it also keeps it in the same time. There's very minimal temporal moving back and forth, and it's only usually temporal if it has to explain something. This... and I appreciate why people get lost with this series a little bit, where it just jumps around so much. It's like, it's unusual for an episode not to have a time skip back or forth at some point.
Yeah. And especially it'll do the year before and the year after. So you're actually getting what happens after and sometimes what happens before, and then it'll just sometimes go back to 1711.
Yeah.
For not no reason.
No, we're going to 1711 for a very good reason.
It feels like it needs to go back to that at this point.
Yes.
But the present time...
Yep, present day.
...is 1931.
Yep.
And there are events that happen before and the events that happen after, and it all involves these 2 bottles of perfect immortality that have been concocted, and through various stages jump from one person to another, and there's a point where nobody knows where it is and there is one of the immortals who comes after it, Salazar Quates.
Yes.
Or they say his full name.
Yeah, Salazar.
But it is a very complicated Salazar.
I say Quates is a fairly good pronunciation, and he has got he's got an Eastern European accent, and he's very old, and he's sort of like
Eastern European. He's very old.
Yeah.
And he wants the secret. You should have given the secret to immortality to all of us. But
yes, it's this J. Bruce Elliott to his beat.
We'll find out later who has the secret to all of this, and only shares half of it to certain people. And one of these people is not this guy.
No.
Because he wants... he probably wants to take over the world at some point, because you're immortal, and he has very much of a desire to,
take over the world.
Do the most of it as he can.
Yeah, as anyone who's sort of like hundreds of years old, you get bored. You start sort of going, right, how can I create more immortality? Oh, it's this, right? Okay. He's also he is also like easily the most bastardy bastard in this entire series. Yeah, he's not a present man.
No, because he is older, so he needs somebody to do his own work. So he makes human homunculi to do his bidding. And in this case, it's Ennis, who is kind of like who would be a tomboyish girl if this series wasn't full of it, and she wasn't just directly his servant who has to do what he says. And by eventually interacting with people, finds out she doesn't really need to be this person.
Yeah, my boss is evil. Oh,
wait.
Yeah.
In the intro, he is setting somebody on fire, and this turns out this is bad.
Yeah, he's doing the prohibition by pouring bottles down the drain. He's evil. Yeah, he is. He's not a good person, and he's sort of like he. Shall we go back to 1711, Joe?
Sure.
Let's go back to 1711. Yeah, they summoned a devil.
Yes, they summoned a devil, and you never see it. It's just this person who talks to them in the shadow, and he says, "You are all immortal now.
Yep.
But
Drink
I will
this.
give the secret to immortality to this one person."
Yeah.
And, a whole bunch of rules. And it's not an unreasonable devil as far as these things go. He does toy with some people, and he does talk with them. And, well, if you want to do this, you're going to have to kill them, and and they have this power where you can suck people through your hand and kill them. That's the only way to kill an immortal. Or if you want somebody to know a person, you can put their right hand on their head, and that will
think of them really hard. Yeah,
think of it really hard.
We'll come back to who's got that. Who's got the recipe for that and who that devil is later. They are very interesting characters, but Salazar proceeded to begin immortality by killing about half the boat. Yes. That was he's that sort of character. He's said he's arguably more evil than the actual shotgun wielding lunatic, which is Yeah.
And Lad is chaotic evil. Like, everything chaotic evil. Like, he is... There is a character named Lua who they seem to have a loving relationship with as much as he can. And his whole thing is, I am the one who gets to kill you, Lua.
Yep.
And, like, that's how he expresses his love for her. That is the only way he can express his love for her.
Yeah. I mean, to be entirely honest, Lad Russo is introduced, like, or introducing, like, one of the first scenes, shooting a child in the head. I mean, this is sort of, like, sets it up as, like, you know, this is probably one of the least, like, psychotically evil things he does. The gang are wearing white so that the blood shows.
Yes.
They are that sort of people.
He has a gang of psychotic people. Like, they are not far off from Lad. You can't top Lad, but you can get pretty damn close, which is what a lot of these people do.
They are interesting people, and obviously they are at war with Huey Lafoyer's sort of, like, black-cloaked things, which includes Huey's daughter, who's a really interesting character, is Chade, who is,
She cannot speak.
Yep.
But she is definitely one of the most effective assassins they have, and she does not like the rest of the group who are trying to get immortality, because, like, they just want to get immortality, and she loves her father.
Yeah. Yeah, like, despite the fact, and she's also, like, mortal. I mean, it's sort of, like, not exactly explained, but obviously, you know, despite, like, people being immortal, there's no way to... Your children do not automatically become immortal, so she's, like, dedicated to her father.
Yeah. And she doesn't really want it either.
Yeah. I mean, she made us...
She's the one that's not in it for herself.
Yeah.
And I think it's fair to say the rest of the orchestra, as it were, are in it for themselves.
Yeah.
And they want the immortality. They just want to use this guy.
Yes. Despite the fact they're probably being used by him, but obviously, you know, that's stuff that's in the novels because we don't have time to adapt everything. Which kind of brings us to our last sort of most important character upon the train, which is Claire Stanfield, who is...
Claire Stanfield, who is not one of the characters in the credits. Like, there are a few important characters that are not in the credits, so you don't know to keep track of them. But that's mostly a surprise because the first episode... There's this legend, not the first episode, but the first time we're on the train, there's this legend of a rail tracer.
Yeah.
Who, once you tell the story, will come to your train and kill everybody. And they're supposed to be the way to stop it is you die. And the character Claire Stanfield starts off as, it looks like he's the one who gets killed, and the other conductor on the train is the one killing him, until it goes back to one of those reversals. And this is somewhat early, so it's not a super spoiler. It's just one. It's just one of those you need to know if you explain the story, where he kind of goes nuts in the middle of it. Not that he wasn't nuts already.
Yep.
Because he is a serial killer.
Yep. He's a serial killer who works for the mafia.
And he uses his job as a conductor to do the job at various parts of of America. And there's just this thing where the FBI are getting a briefing, and they explain all this, and then suddenly it dawns on them, wait, let's put the Flying Pussyfoot's track, and then it just like goes right over where all the murders are taking place, and this is just supposed to be holy shit.
Yep. Oh shit, someone aboard that train is killing people. Claire is a really interesting character. Like, Claire could arguably... I think Claire is closest to... Well, he certainly thinks he is the protagonist of the series, because
the world.
Yep, because he just basically goes... the world doesn't exist apart from me, and this is all a dream. Yes, he is a character with a loose, tentative grip upon reality, which is why he immediately meets Chane and goes, "You're hot, let's go murder people together."
I love you. You know, once you get to New York, I'll find you, and let's get married and stuff.
Yep.
And
spoilers for the novels. Yes, he does.
Oh, okay. I have not done any research on the novels.
Yep.
I just wanted to watch this for the sake of only having the knowledge of this.
He marries and has kids.
Okay. Well, I'm sure those kids will be well adjusted and nice.
Yep. I think they're also movie stars in the novels. Like jump around a lot, but the most recent novels, because obviously this is one of these series that's on like a long-term hiatus. I think down to narrator's health problems, because hey, who in the industry doesn't have a health problem at some point? Is set in 2001 and on a boat, and there's a murder mystery, and there's some wacky immortality stuff going on, and the novels are good. This is a fairly decent adaptation of them, but the novels sort of leave the 30s setting and then come back, and then they do this sort of hopping around time a lot, and it's sort of like your mileage may vary.
Yeah, your mileage may vary. Like once everything on the Flying Pussyfoot stops. Like, I'll be honest, the last 4 episodes, like, I kind of watched, I kind of didn't. Because it was, you kind of knew the rest of the story wasn't going to be, resolved in any way. They couldn't. Because that, for whatever reason, this series had to stop.
Yeah.
Probably because it wasn't a big success and it didn't sell well in Japan and didn't sell well in America. So there is no reason for this to keep going.
Yeah.
Unless they have an anniversary thing like Boogie Pop and others where they just readapt the whole thing, but not as well as they did it in the 2000s.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, this is a series I could see. I don't know. As I said, it would be astonishing if this ever got a second series, but I think it would. There'd be like a tiny little group of people, and I'm one of them, who go, "Holy shit, a second season of this! Yes, thank you, we'll take that." Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, again, I do wonder, like, in an ideal world where HBO just go, yeah, we'll adapt these. We are Americans. We could make a series in America with all of these concepts going on. That would be an interesting thing. But Claire is a fantastically flipping weird character. He also brings us to the Gandors, who are sort of like our other group who are not on the Mafia family, who are not on the train but are sort of interlinked with sort of like our protagonist, our other group in the which are the I'm just gonna grab the name because my Italian is not good. Martello family, who are sort of like a small, more traditionally Italian, sort of like Italian mafia sort of family, whereas the Gandors are more, your typical Scarfacey type gangsters. I feel.
Yeah, it is. But it is where all the mess happens because a guy creates the 2 perfect alchemic immortality bottles.
Yep.
And then because of gangster stuff, the place is set on fire.
Yep.
And then he's wandering around into somebody's territory, and this is where we get Dallas Jeanward.
Yep.
As one of the characters who gets into trouble, but then Firo comes along.
Yep.
Who breaks them up. And it's just, and then it all goes from there, and this inter-mob thing, and this is where like Ennis comes in. This is where
it sort of pulls
a lot of these
these
supporting
threads
cast
together,
who are not on the Flying Pussyfoot show up, and this is all to explain why this is happening.
Yeah, the Firo is, I would say, arguably question mark the closest person who probably actually could, you know, vie for the role of actual protagonist. I feel,
but not this part. Maybe
no.
Later, but
Yeah.
not right here. He disappears for about half the series because
Yeah.
he is.
Not
He is
on track.
important, but he is not important to what is going on the Flying Pussyfoot. He is important for the people he knows.
Yeah.
Because he does know the Jacuzzi and Nice. And he does... There is this plot of Eve Jonward, who is this little sister of Dallas who loves her brother, but doesn't know what an asshole he is. Yeah, and then that leads to Miria and Isaac, and they're interconnected because they are on the Flying Pussyfoot. And they eventually come up with the bottles of immortality, and that should frighten the shit out of you. But
yeah, the other thing I would say about like the New York setting is, this is really, really nicely well. You know, this is the art director of this is a guy called Akira Ito, who I couldn't really find very much about. But he, you know, they went to New York and they went, you know, let's have a look at these bits of New York. You know, everything is very just so. You know, the feeling of it, and I mean, the art direction of this is solid. It is a very neatly animated. There's nothing in this like I don't think that is, you know, not nicely presented, but it's like there's a lot of it where it's like, you know, it is a very talky series, and the action on this is sporadic and often extremely violent. But you know,
I'm just gonna throw this out here. Like, the warnings of violence in this are for real. Like, there is people getting blown to pieces with their guts. There is eye violence. There's a lot of eye violence. And just all sorts of things that will make you queasy. It has a kind of comedic tone, but don't let that fool you to thinking it's going to be a friendly series, because these are gangsters in 1930s Depression era, and they do like filling their opponents full of lead.
Yeah, we're talking, you know, we're talking sort of the similar sort of violence to sort of, you know, things like Once Upon a Time in America and, you know, the Brian De Palma Untouchables, etc. This is realistic. This is like, you know, this is an 18 in the UK, and given that it's an 18 in animation, it's like there is a lot of, you know, particularly around when Lad Russo is on screen, there is a lot of blood and there is a lot of violence. You know, there is... the series, you know, as I said, does play some of it, particularly around Isaac and Miria, does play some of its violence for laughs. When Lad Russo is on screen, no, this is not you know, particularly humorous violence. This is, you know, small people. This is to repeat, a child gets shot in the head twice. You know, sort of violent. You know, he gets better, but you know, you don't find that out for several episodes.
Yeah, one of the most tormented people is Ches.
Ches needs a hug. Ches needs a hug. Probably several hugs. Because
most of his life is being a test subject by one of the psychotic immortals over how far this goes until it resets. So he gets blinded, he gets, you know, he gets like his limbs like run into the ground on a moving train, and all sorts of other not fun things.
Do you want spoilers for the novels, Joe?
What's that?
He's not dead.
Well, of course he's immortal.
No, he was like attempted to be devoured, and he is not dead. That is a spoiler for the novels.
he doesn't get dead in Baccano the series either.
No, exactly. He is just about.
Yeah,
and
I mean, he wants to, but he doesn't. I think Like he gets to like it. I think his character arc does get somewhat resolved by the end.
Yeah.
With okay, here are the characters who are left. We're gonna hand you to one of them, and they're the nice people.
Yeah, the nice people. But yeah, yeah, that's why we don't usually, because usually the stuff we're talking about is I'd say PG-13-esque sort of stuff, or the trauma is more emotional than physical. But this comes with a mild warning of, if you are squeamish around blood and guts and violence, and particularly violence meted out against kids and extremely psychotic people running around with Tommy guns. Yeah, warning. Anyway, where were we?
And at one point, Claire Stanfield, who calls himself the Rail Tracer at one point, he becomes the monster, is covered in blood for half the series.
He does because go a little bit.
He just kind of gets a little mad after he just watches all of the psychotic stuff going on, and it just sets him off into becoming this imagined god of a person. But he is also a assassin / serial killer, so he does have the skills to pull it off.
Yeah, he does sort of go a little bit of the "I am the angel of death, the time of purification is at hand" sort of esque behaviour.
Yeah.
Claire is a very interesting character. Is also probably the most frightening character in this, which again, considering Lad Russo is in this, is yes. Yes. Where were we? Ah, yes. We were on a train.
We were on train, and everybody's fighting each other, and Jacuzzi and Nice and their gang of people are just trying to figure out what the hell is going on, because Jacuzzi is not okay right now, and he has never been okay, because he is a crybaby since he was a kid. And they go back to this at the beginning and then kind of link it back. I mean, it feels like there should be more there, but Nice gets blown up at one point, and she gets psychological damage because she's all scarred up, and then he gets a face scar for her. See, I'm like you, and. And they've been kind of childhood friends who are now an item, as they say in the series, but they've never kissed. And so this is just kind of them trying to get through and figure out what's going on and surviving.
Yeah. There's also the fact that Jacuzzi's face thing is literally so Nice can actually see him, because she has most of she lost an eye and has heavy facial scarring, and wears glasses because the bomb also damaged her other eye, so she's not doing well with the stakes of being able
although
to.
The glasses do not make her look like she belongs here. It's just she looks like some museum person who got into an accident or something, but then you hear her talk and she has the street accent.
Hey, New York.
not any Potts, but probably more the Chicago.
Hey, your pizza is
in Chicago. We got
a good pizza.
We got to take out some of the vowels and let the consonants lean on each other a little bit.
Hey, our pizza's good.
Hey yo. Okay. Deep dish pizza.
Hey.
None of that New York pizza with the faucet. Their faucets lie.
We got the Blue Brothers. Hey.
Hey. Okay. Anyway,
that was Thom and Joe's exploration of how to do a Chicago accent.
No, and it's not very good because it slipped into Jersey. A little bit, which is I know, not good.
Away, Gerard, away.
Hey, yo, hey,
for Springsteen. Anyway,
you kind of experience this show. It's you can explain what's going on. You can okay, this is what happens here. This is what happens here. But the main thing is to experience it, and It is a good show to marathon because it stays in your head. Like I did 6 episodes at a time.
Yeah.
And then the 4 on the last disc, just because I have the DVD. I don't think it has the commentaries, but it just has all the episodes dumped onto 3 DVDs.
Yeah.
The one that only goes for $89.99 instead of $129.98. But
available from some retailer somewhere. So this is like I feel this is, as I said, I think you're right with this, Joe. I think this is more a series that is about the ride rather than like what's happening with this. And by the time you're sort of like you're into the series and you are watching the stuff, you've got to know these large group of characters. It kind of like once you get over the first couple of episodes and you sort of get the idea of who these people are and you start recognizing people, then it starts to be a smoother journey, and it starts to do more interesting things with the time loop, the time jumpy about the non-linear narrative,
It will occasionally do, I think, literal turntable scratches, like Samurai Champloo, where it goes from one time where it has an action sequence to a previous action sequence that just happens to match up. And some of that's really good. I am a trained writer. Like, I come from a background of journalism where we do this. How do you organize these giant stories, and how do you put it together, and how do you best communicate it? So I get what they're doing, and I get why. It's just I don't get ultimately why, besides to make an entertaining show. And maybe that's all there is. That's all there is to it. I don't get what this show is about besides like old-timey gangsters, alchemists, and all of this stuff. It is fun. It is a fun show. It is an enjoyable show, and I would recommend it to anybody who isn't super squeamish about violence. The only question is, what does it amount to? Like, why are we on this journey? That some people are violent, psychotic people, and some people are nice. And then some people just enjoy life, and they don't have the questions of immortality. It's just, is it just posing that question on different people and just finds the biggest cast of strange people to, plot various points on? Because there is a point near the end where, like, one of the elder immortals goes to this entire group of people who are now immortal and goes, "Aren't you worried about things?" "No, we're partying, man. This is cool. We're immortal. We can't die now." And they're just having the best time ever to this bewildered immortal who has, thought about everything over centuries of this. And there are these people who are just like, no, we're just gonna go get drinks, and we're gonna dance, and we're gonna have a good time.
Yeah, that's before we get into the whole thing of this is a character we haven't actually mentioned yet. If I can actually find him on the Wikipedia page. Misa, who is like lost so much that it's he's lost so much he basically doesn't trust anyone, and has like seen Salazar murder his brother. Yeah, that's also like the other. Yeah, that's the other thing I would say as a warning. Is like this series is a little bit grim, and with the consumption of the other immortals, that's a bit squicky. But he sort of like he has lost so much, and the immortals that are left are like scattered across the world, and there's this sort of like this paranoid fear, which I think is best seen in Seslaw, where like they just assume like any other immortal is probably he certainly thinks that like any other immortal is trying to kill him, and it's like
it's. Yeah, there's one scene where somebody's trying to rescue him, and it's like, no, get your hands off me, don't touch me.
He's like, he needs a hug. He needs a hug. it's a sense, Miser's a great character, but and Miser's sort of like, almost this sort of back of thought head. The last time we had a grouping of immortals, it turned in on itself and bloodletting, so to speak. And it's sort of like, oh, and there's this great scene which I'm going to mention briefly with Ches and Miser, and it's like, and Miser obviously, Ches expects Miser to just, off him or consume him, and it's like, oh god, this kid has so many trust issues. Yeah. I feel that the theme of this is stories. I feel it's there's obviously the surrounding thing sort of goes, okay, it's easy. I feel this is a series. It's a very it's a series. I feel that obviously because it moves back and forth in time. It's I feel that the theme of Baccano is sort of stories and the relationships between characters. As a theme such that it has a theme.
And storytelling. I think storytelling is a big part of it.
Yeah.
Because that is the hook of this is it starts with how do we tell this, and then it just keep going through this windy time span where it cuts back, it keeps going, and it's just about the fun of telling a story through this. So I guess that's a theme, and it's a light novel. It is most of them are for the experience. I mean, the ones that teach you a lesson are really, really obvious about it, or tend to be. And
absolutely. And it's the thing, you could argue, okay, apart from the American dream or the corruption of it, what are most gangster films about? It's about conspicuous wealth. It's yes, and what else? The Italo-American machismo. It's that's all of which you could see. I would say to it, or at least certainly in the Italian, a simulacrum of Italo-American masculinity. Certainly, Lad Rousseau is certainly a hyper masculine Italo-American lunatic with a gun.
And it's just about kind of how stupid it is to a certain extent, because a lot of what happens in this series happens by accident because people are too trigger happy.
Yeah.
Or are too dumb. The reason we only have 2 bottles of the perfect alchemy and this mess happens is because a gangster is trying to do a joke with his glove.
Yeah.
And a match and fire.
Yep.
And then his friend tries to do the same thing
with a woolen glove
and accidentally sets the whole building on fire because it is the 1930s and everything is lacquered wood at this point, and if you do anything it's just gonna go
and now you put that
why you have all of these beautiful wood surroundings from 1930s pictures, and why don't these things exist today? Because they got set on fire.
Accidentally or occasionally, or not so occasionally, on purpose. Yeah. Or they got torn down in the 1970s by property magnates. Yeah.
And I don't know if part of it is demythologizing, how with Dallas, how he's just this shit guy who just gets away with all of this until he doesn't.
Yeah.
And then even when he becomes immortal, he is such a shit that they just put him in a barrel with cement shoes and drop him to the bottom of the lake where he is spending his immortality. And his sister Eve is trying to get him out. But I don't remember. Is that still in process at the end, or?
I think by the end they've gone, because this is the thing. You have these extra 3 episodes at the end, and these 3 episodes, as I think we've mentioned before, kind of go right. This is what's immediately happened to our cast. This is the sort of setup for this, because I think it pretty much ends with them going, oh, we've we've opened the barrel and he's not there. Oh.
Yeah. Okay, there. Because I remember some things better than others. Granted, last night I had to go to the dentist, so I was watching the last 4 episodes on, like, sleeping gummies.
Oh, Jesus.
So,
yeah.
Well, it was kind of a busy day.
Yeah, I mean, this is also the last 3 episodes sort of also flesh out Shane a little bit, and there's this additional extra guy who is just like Lad Russo's mechanic, who's Graham Spector, who's just like randomly just introduced like in these last
Graham
episodes. Graham Spector, who's played by Chris Patton in English, who is most famous for, you know, God, too many fucking anime to mention. He's fun, but it's like, why was this guy not in the main narrative?
Villain. It's a problem that hasn't like really bloomed into full, development by the time the series ends. I mean, I understand why it's there because we need the closure with certain things, like Ches, and then like Piero, who's this kind of nice guy who becomes a gangster in his family, but doesn't take shit, and he is kind of Misa's like
lead second in command.
Second in command. And he becomes immortal, and then he teaches Ennis that there's more to all of this than just this pain that her master has given him. So they become a thing, and they're now Chez's parents, apparently, even though Chez is hundreds of years older than them.
Yeah, this is before we get into fear of the fact that this is again something out of the novels rather than the anime. Firo and Claire were childhood friends.
Yeah, they do bring up that Claire Stanfield was friends with people, and he is friends with the gangster world. They do bring that up, but they don't,
He's basically their adopted brother.
It doesn't...
For the Gandors. But yeah, he's Claire's childhood friend, and it's like, Claire and Firo are childhood friends, and it's like, that's a visual. That's yep.
Because Piero is the nicest gangster in the world. Like, he only steps in and helps when, people are causing trouble against people who they shouldn't be causing trouble against.
Yeah.
And then he'll wait until he gets shot up, and then, respawns, as it were, to do a number on them. And he is amazing. He knows kung fu.
He does. He also looks like me, apparently, which is quite an amusing sort of
Well, my wife looked like Ennis, which is why it was one of her cosplay stuff.
Yeah.
But, I don't think she got through the series. I don't know. I think a lot of the blood and stuff got to her.
Yeah, that's
I don't know. It's also a very complicated series that if you watch, the hardest thing is getting into it, because the first 2 episodes will tax your brain like the rest of the series doesn't.
Yeah.
Because you are just getting used to things. It's like how the first Dune movie doesn't really feel like the movie, and the second one feels way more like a movie because it is getting all of the information to you, and you are figuring it out.
And this is why you need to watch them as a collective whole. Yeah, as a collective
whole.
And
then the second movie, you can just go and watch it. There's still the complex things, but you know who these people are. You know basically what they're doing.
And then Christopher Walken is here as the Emperor of the Universe.
Yes.
as is his right, of course. So I mean, I enjoy Baccano. I love Durarara. We will inevitably get on to speaking about Durarara at some point. But yeah, I would say if you are watching this, stick with it after. Watch episode 1 and then watch episode 2 immediately after. like, and the sort of the speed bump of this series will disappear, and you will have a great time. But if you like watch, if you're one of these people who watches like, you know, one episode or something a night, and you go, what the, and you watch the first episode of this and go, what the fuck was that? my head hurts. What a ruckus.
It gets easier. It becomes more about the experience than it does about, okay, what are these people doing here? What are they doing? And these people are on this side and they're over here. It becomes less about that and more about just the experience of, you know, the story. And I will say this is one of the, like, a lot of hidden gems from the anime gold rush of like 2004, 2000, like 2003 through like 2006 was this massive gold rush before everybody realized they were losing money every time they did this. And there are a lot of hidden gems that, you know, disappeared. Some of them are still here. Some, like, and a lot of the smaller animators and people who worked in the industry who don't really get to do stuff like this did stuff like this because the anime company behind this is Brains Base, and I have not heard of most of the things they were anime production for, and the ones I have were like, I was advised against it, but this one's really good, and it has a lot of people who were just in this group of people that got to work on really interesting, amazing projects. Like there were storyboarders and writers for episodes of Hibane Renmei, and then later technolized with that same kind of group of people. Yeah. And they just worked on all of like the hidden things. Like Hibane Renmei is now out of print again, even though they just got a Blu-ray a couple of years ago.
Like Natsume's Book of Friends, which was obviously also done by Brains Base, where they seem to have basically been stuck in the Natsume Book of Friends sort of mine, and then they changed studios because it's like it's one of those series which just goes on and on, and then obviously on. And it's ironic you mentioned
and then there's Aria and like a lot of different series, and then the ones that failed, like Final Fantasy Unlimited.
Oh God, we do not speak of it.
Go ahead.
But this is the thing. Like, I feel like there's a lot of series like this where it's like, you know, we will no doubt delve into interesting sort of like side, like the little mines of anime that we could sort of go, hey, remember this? No, you don't, but this is worth watching. I hesitate to go, this is worth watching to the tune of $100+, pounds, whatever. But, you know, this is worth watching. This is a good show. I can recommend it if you do somehow find some way to pick this up cheaply. Please watch this. This is good. It's a very good dub. You know, you don't get ensemble animes like this very often nowadays, where there's not like seasons and seasons worth of like build up to, you know, a couple of episodes where everybody is doing, like, everybody's on the screen. You're doing the sort of, you know, the whole Avengers Infinity War end game sort of thing, where you got like 20 or 30 characters, like a dozen characters bouncing off each other. That doesn't happen. We don't get these sort of big, bold, you know, sort of like explorations of character, you know, where you got like a large cast of characters in stuff like this anymore. It's a very you know, it's something which belongs now more to, you know, the idea of a cinematic universe and the idea of, you know, these big, you know, premium television sort of things in the West, really, and
stuff that makes money.
That's the problem.
Like, I was just looking at the Anime News Network, you know, thing for the director, and the director also did Samurai Flamenco and Princess Jellyfish, which are both Very
Princess
good
Jellyfish.
series that kind of disappear and like only people like us talk about. Although
Hi.
Princess Jellyfish probably has a larger audience. The problem
Yeah.
with the anime is it's just incomplete. Like it stops at a certain point.
Yeah, the manga's fantastic and the anime is fantastic. That's
Yeah.
probably again because I own it on DVD because I have I went and bought the special edition which had the Clara plush in it, and I went, I need to watch this. This series speaks to me on like so many elemental levels, and we'll get into
But
why at some point.
This is one of the many series, which is the reason I hoard DVDs and Blu-rays.
Completely.
My wife has an understanding, but she also has the we're kind of running low on space here. But it's because like a lot of this stuff disappears. Like Shiki is another one of these series that got buried. That they sold for $5, all the remaining copies, and then it was just gone. It's gone. You can't watch it. And there are a lot of series like this. Baccano, Samurai Flamenco you can still watch. I don't know about Princess Jellyfish. I've seen it around, so it's not like one of those. But were a lot of series like this that had a lot of hype and have fandoms, but you can't watch them. Or when there's, something that pops up, like when Golf Girl's story, like, is in the same universe as Madlax, but Madlax is not running anywhere. This is what happens. So this is time for people like me who, like, hoard stuff. I can burn DVDs, but it's just like I only have limited space, and I am under debt consolidation, so I can't like just buy a whole bunch of space and just leave this for people and then leave it for the Japanese companies to go, oh, that's interesting. Here are our lawyers. Meet my lawyers.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is again why streaming is like a problematic thing, because it's like all it takes is someone to go, actually we're selling the rights to that to another company, going, yeah, we're not interested in this. What the fuck? What is this? Why are we giving this out for free on something? We're gonna go put this on our streaming platform.
At Aniplex.
Hi Aniplex, yeah, we mentioned, we know about you, yes, thank you. But yeah, this is like, if you say anime, buy it on DVD, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I'm broke all the time, but I do try to at least find deals before I get these, because the series I love are the ones that disappear.
Yeah.
And there's just only certain ones like Aria get a hyperfixation by like Right Stuff or something where they keep showing up over and over. But other than that, if there's not a company that has a hyperfixation on this, they kind of tend to show up and go, and maybe sometimes show up again. Like Hyben Renmei showed up for 5 seconds in Blu-ray form and then disappeared, and it had they did have a DVD re-released by Funimation, who did the bare minimum to port it over, made their money, and then it was gone. So there are so many series like this, and it's especially tough when the Japanese companies just seem to want piracy. Like the only way you can experience this is piracy. I mean, and they all think they're as big as Nintendo. I mean, Nintendo can do that because they're gigantic. The rest of these companies, they have an ego I don't think is earned. I mean, maybe Ghibli can do this, but like a lot of these other companies,
but even Ghibli's difficult to get hold of.
You are costing yourself money. You are harming yourself, and you don't know why you're harming yourself. You can't process it, so you just blame it on whatever. Blame it on reverse imports or whatever else.
Yeah, the old adage, keep the tapes circulating.
Yes.
Yeah. Keep circulating the tapes. Yeah, but if you want to help Joe out of his financial, if you want to help us buy more anime, because if you go, oh well, I know that I don't know, this series isn't available on streaming, but I know it's on DVD in the US, and we have a patron donate to our Patreon. We will buy more things and ensure that physical objects that can be watched and can't be taken away by streaming companies can be watched. If you go, oh, I know XYZ is out of print in the thing, but I found it on we value fan input. We are more than happy for you to go, here's 20 quid, go, I want you to review Origin. Oh god, yeah, Origin. We want you to review Origin, and I will buy you both the DVD. We are more than happy to do this. If it must be Origin, so be it.
You would be happy to do Origin.
I would not be happy to do Origin.
I don't know about myself. I've already reviewed it, but...
oh god, yeah.
But if you pay us, I will do it. I mean,
we will do it.
I do take jobs for pay. It's just...
Yeah, we are mercenary.
Certain jobs require more money.
Yeah, certain jobs, but if you go, oh, I don't know, I want you to review, this, that, or the other, you can go, oh, I know this is not on, any streaming platform, but here's, a link to it, if you want us to watch the old Devil May Cry anime, we can watch that if you buy it for us. Anyway, yeah, we got the obviously we got the Patreon down below, which is patreon.com/the Thom and Joe Show, which you can donate. Obviously like and subscribe, and if you go, hey, can you do Durarara? Comment down below. We'll eventually get to it. We'll get to it because I want to get to it. But no, as I said, I like Baccano. I will defend Baccano to the hill. I am annoyed, that Baccano is not easily purchasable in this, financial environment. But that's the problem with modern media is things are because things aren't treated with respect to obsolescence is sort of like expected. Media people don't invest as much time as they should do on looking after media. That was a depressing note to end on.
Anyway, so the next series is my choice, and I picked Hana Yamada, which is the cozy series for introverts.
Huzzah!
Who want to shine, I guess.
I have this on DVD, ironically enough, because I think you mentioned it.
Because I pestered you, and also because Sentai Filmworks kept selling it for minimum, like $3 for the DVD, or $1 for the DVD.
I mean, it was a little bit more expensive in the UK.
Like a Sarah McLachlan commercial, like, this great series needs a home and love. Please support Hana Yamada. Please.
Yeah. I mean, it was a little bit more expensive in the UK.
Thankfully, it's out of print now, and it's. I mean, you can still watch it on streaming. You can still do that, I believe.
Yeah.
But if you want the physical copies, they are gone.
Yep.
I bullied people into buying them all. So.
You did
we will
indeed.
be reviewing that next time.
Yay, that should be interesting. We also have coming fairly soon the first of our anniversary episodes, which this time is also an anime series, which is, again, I think your pick.
Yeah, that's Emma, isn't it?
Yes, that is Emma. That might come out before...
Victorian Romance Emma, which is going to get like 5 people, viewers. And I just did this because I love this show, and it is, like, I don't want to say one of the most insane stories, but it's just like, everybody was happy about it. But there was just one problem. And we'll get to that problem when we talk about it.
Yep, we will indeed. We're going to definitely talk about that. We might talk about that depending, because I think we're going to try and pop this out as an anniversary episode. And yeah, we'll see when that actually occurs. But we will. It'll be out soon-ish, because I think we're coming up to the. Is it the 20th anniversary of it?
Yes, 20th anniversary. That would have been 2005. I would have been working with Anime Insider magazine, and then I saw like a full print advertisement for it in a Japanese magazine, and it was just like the prettiest thing I had ever seen.
Interesting. I will look forward to talking about that with you then.
Okay.
Cool. We will see you on the next episode of the Thom and Joe Show. I've been Tom.
I've been Joe. See you in 1930. Or
31.
31. Or 32.
Yeah.
Or 1711.
Or 2000 and... Wait a minute. 2000 and...
Wait a minute, yeah.
Yeah, oh shit, we're immortal.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, we gotta get our disco shit on. It's the
shit.
2000s.
It's the 2000s, okay. We'll see you next time. See you later.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.